So on Monday night, I ended up finally sort of going through with my DMT experience. Um, it wasn't, unfortunately, it wasn't a breakthrough, and I ended up taking 1P LSD after the experience. It was actually a bit of a higher dose, but I'll talk about that in my next video. I don't want to make this one go on for too long by explaining too many trip reports. So this time, I tried to, with the DMT experience, and I waited till night, I tried to smoke a batch that looked pure, but it was really old, and it wasn't working the last time that I tried smoking it when I was trying to smoke it on the 1P LSD, and so I tried it this time while completely sober, and again, there was zero effect, so I'm assuming that it just lost all of its potency somehow. Because it looked really pure, it looked like whitish, so it looked really clean, but it just didn't have any effect. And so then I went through some of my different batches, and I found one that was a bit darker in its tint. All of these are probably around a year or so old. So this one looked more promising. I think I put around maybe at most 30 milligrams. I don't know the exact dose just because I don't have a scale. I still got to order a Joule scale. And I just put it in the bong with a screen. And I didn't bother putting any ashes or anything like that. It was just the bong and the screen because it's not like it's going to drip through or anything. And I'm not really worried about direct contact with a flame because I've never really noticed that causes much of a problem with it breaking it down or causing it to become impotent. I think it's sort of been overblown, especially if it's not like completely crystalline pure stuff, because this stuff probably had a little bit of plant fats in it, so it was able to bubble into a kind of a, not a tar, but like a liquid kind of sludge thing when I put the flame on it. So yeah, I ended up hitting the bowl, and I had all the lights and everything turned off, and I made sure that my bed was ready so that I can quickly sort of lie into it. And so yeah, I smoked it, and also I kind of do a countdown, like a blast off, kind of like a rocket ship where you can't like. So basically, what I'll do is I'll lie in my bed for about 200 seconds, and I'll count those down, and then I'll get up and then hold the bong and then count down for another 60 seconds, and I end up saying these weird sort of protection prayer things, and it's kind of like a superstition kind of thing, just to make me feel better about going into something that I'm not really sure about and don't really know if it's going to be something intimidating or not. And so yeah, I smoked the bowl and then laid in my bed, and then I began, this time I obviously felt it working. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this batch is actually legit. So I didn't know how deep it was going to take me, and when I closed my eyes, I saw this, and this seems to be very common with the beginning of my DMT experience. It's kind of like I see this blocky geometric entity of some sort. It's made out of pretty. It's kind of faint. It's not really extremely vibrant, but it's like a blocky. It has a bit of a card like playing card kind of feel to it. It doesn't look like a jester, but it kind of has that sort of presence to it. Like you imagine that there's some sort of checkerboards around it, and it's just got that playing card feel or some sort of some sort of game feel to it. And it's very blocky, and obviously it's pretty complex, and it just has I can almost feel like it has hands of some sort, but always most of the time in my DMT trips I seem to see this entity, and then if it's a breakthrough, it'll just kind of open up into something that is extremely vibrant and overwhelmingly intense in terms of the visual experience. And for a second I thought that was going to come on, but it ended up not breaking through into that space, and it kind of just the visions kind of stayed as that sort of faint a blocky like geometry, and it wasn't it wasn't what I would be expecting from an actual breakthrough, but it still was. It was a very positive experience to sort of go in there and experience the visionary states that I've been kind of longing to experience, because it's been a long time since I've seen that stuff. So yeah, it probably lasted around 5 minutes. I would just be seeing and it didn't really open into any sort of space. It was more of just geometry and it had some sort of figure to it, or some sort of presence or entity, or it seemed alive in some sort of way, but it was also it wasn't as pulsating and as overwhelming as I usually want to try to get to. But the problem is that when I got out of it, I was kind of relieved that it didn't get to the really intense parts, because I don't know, I've been finding it a little bit more intimidating to do that. But it's on one end it's relieving, but on the other end it's disappointing, because I really want to go into there, because it's something that I'm really fascinated with. I'm really fascinated with the deep end of the experience. But I mean, for this, I could still probably remember things to draw certain things that depict it, and it definitely gave attributes of what I imagined the DMT experience to represent itself as visually. But I was hoping that I could go a little bit deeper, but I still have more. So I'm probably gonna wait a few weeks and then try to actually get through into the deep end. I think that this was good to at least get my feet wet and sort of know what to expect, because it's been over a year, I think, since I've last smoked DMT. So I don't know if it's smart to just kind of jump into it willy-nilly without sort of kind of getting my feet wet first. But all in all, it was still very beautiful visions. The space that I was in, it wasn't too intense, but it still had complex geometry to it. It still sort of felt like it was alive in a certain sense. And the problem is that I can't really remember exactly what I was seeing once I got past that original figure. I know Terence McKenna talks about the chrysanthemum that people see before they break through into the space, but mine's different. It's always just this blocky sort of playing card-like entity that feels kind of circus-like, but at the same time sort of different from that. And it's very dark. It's kind of like a white wireframe outline of a black background, and then that would usually kind of open up into this incredibly complex and dynamic space. But it kind of just the experience kind of just was morphing while staying in that kind of representation, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm glad I at least took the plunge, because I didn't. It looked like a big amount, because usually when I put that kind of a amount into my bong, I can expect to break through. But seeing as it wasn't the highest purity or potent stuff, just because the color was a bit darker, it makes sense why it didn't sort of break me through entirely. But it was good that I at least sort of took the plunge and had the chance to experience it. I think that at least I showed some bravery in that end. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when I'm going to actually go for the true breakthrough, and hopefully I can experience something very profound. I don't want to overwhelm myself with something that's too powerful or too intense, because I don't really know exactly what I'm going to expect since it's been so long. But usually it's easier for me to break through when I'm actually in a more depressed state of mind, I think, because I'm more sort of reckless with what I subject myself to. But since I'm kind of in a better state of mind, it's hard for me to kind of go through something very intense and very trying when I'm not really struggling in the world. So yeah, but I'm just gonna do it because I really am fascinated with the space, and I'll definitely report it when I do. So I will see you guys in the next video that I'm going to be talking about my 1P LSD trip, and stay tuned for that. Peace out.